everyone out there in Mandolin land, Mike Hedding here, coming to you today with just a little free mandolin lesson. I wanted to talk about taking a basic lick, whatever lick you're working on, and creating some variations. So adding some spice to the lick. So we're going to try and create a variation and keep it in a beginner realm. We're going to try and create a variation and make it a little bit more intermediate level. And then lastly, create a variation and make it an advanced level lick. So we're going to use just a bluesy lick in D that I made up, but you could apply these concepts to any licks you're working on. All right, let's jump into the beginner lick. Okay, so here's the lick. You could use it as like a backup lick if you were strumming. Kind of on like a funky bluesy song like that. You could use it to lead into a G chord. And then now go to a G. D. You could use that as an ending lick too, like after an A, right here. So the lick itself isn't important, remember, it's the concepts behind it that we're going to apply to create a more advanced lick that I want you to focus on. But let's just break down the lick so we got it. So we're going to start with our ring finger up on the 5th fret of the A string, which is the D note. We're playing a bluesy D lick. And then we're going to use our middle finger on the 3rd fret, which is the flatted 7th, the C, which gives it that bluesy sound. So we go 5, 3, and then a little run, 5, 3, open. And then on the 3rd fret of the D string with an upstroke, we're going to slide from 3 to 4, and then hit the open A, and then a little run, 3, 2, open on the D string. And then 5th fret with an upstroke on the G, 2, 5, and then open D. So the whole thing sounds like this. The trickiest part is doing that backslide with an upstroke. So I'm sliding from 3 to 4, and then I'm doing another upstroke. So, and how you can practice it with, so the first thing you want to do is take out the slide. So you can hear the timing. So if you picked both those notes, the 3 and the 4, like that, and then you just take it out. So it's down, 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 up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That'll really just help you practice getting the timing. So remember that slide takes the place of a downstroke. Just a little faster. Adding just a little bounce, and then you can kind of just strum. So one easy variation is you could add more picking at the beginning. So those quarter notes, the 5 and 3, the 2 downstrokes at the beginning, you could replace those with down ups. Would be the same, or you could go 5 open, 3 open. That might sound nice. So a beginner variation. So one concept is changing the rhythm very slightly. So instead of going down, 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 up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now we're going to be going down, up, down, up. So obviously you're not reinventing the wheel, but you need to start somewhere. I find so often beginners, and sometimes even intermediate players, they get hung up. They want their first variation they create off a lick to be so perfect that they never come up with anything because they're kind of waiting for this perfect lick to hit them like a lightning bolt. And what I found for me is you have to kind of create a bunch of really bad variations and then you get to some good ones. So that was what I found for me. So don't worry if the variation doesn't sound exactly like it. Maybe you add a different note. So instead of going to the 3, you go to the 2. So the important thing there is that you try it. Also important is that you hear how it sounds. So you're hearing what that 3rd fret sounds like. So that's more bluesy, right? This, with the 2nd fret, it's more major sounding. And remember, it's totally subjective. If you think it sounds close enough to the original lick, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to sound like the original lick to anyone else. That's where your own sense of style will also come out. That's why creating these variations is so important. You're also going to remember a variation that you created a lot more than something that I wrote and you memorized. That's I found for me anyways. I would always remember the licks that I came up with, even if they weren't as good, but I was putting my own twist on it, and that was very important for me to eventually write my own arrangements. You have to start somewhere. Creating your own licks is a great way. So that's the beginner lick. Okay, let's look at taking a similar idea and making it more of an intermediate level lick. So one thing we're going to do right off the bat is we're going to add more harmony. So we're going to use a drone string. Instead of just playing 5-3, instead of just playing on that A string alone, now we're going to drone with the D string. So it sounds like that. So think of a good analogy for this is like playing on a piano and playing single notes. You could play something interesting, but if you're adding harmony to that single note, it's immediately going to be more intermediate level, more advanced level. It's also going to be more interesting to the ear than just a run of single notes. So adding harmony is a very good way, even if we just kept the exact same lick. That'd be a nice way to add some harmony to spice it up. So I'm just droning with the D string. And the other thing we're going to do is we're just changing the rhythm of those pitches. So we're going 5-3, open 3. And then that slides the same. And then right here, instead of doing 3-2 open as picking as 8th notes, we're going to do it as a 16th note. And then we need to fill up the rest, 3 open, and then 5-2. And then right here, we're going to do a grace note slide from 5 to 7. So instead of hitting just the D string on its own, now we're sliding into that, which is more advanced, adds more of a vocal quality. It's more expressive, so we have... compared to... one way you can spice it up. So we changed the rhythm, we added more harmony, we went from 8th notes to 16th notes. So we spiced up the rhythm, we made the rhythm more advanced. So those are all things you can think about from taking a beginner lick to making an intermediate. Add harmony, modify the rhythm, so add more 16th notes, add syncopation, you could syncopate it too. So there, instead of playing 8th notes, now we did syncopation, 1 and 3 and 4 and. So that's another way to make it more advanced. Lastly, let's add some more notes outside of the scale. Let's add some bluesy notes. Okay, so for the advanced lick, we're going to add some more bluesy notes. So what we've been playing kind of is like a D major minor pentatonic. Something like that. Kind of technically would be like D mixolydian. You don't have to remember that. But basically what we're going to do for the advanced lick, we're going to add that 6th fret which is the blue note, the flatted fifth. We're also going to start up in a more advanced position. So instead of starting down here in kind of first position, we're going to start up here in like second position, where our index finger is hovering over the 3rd fret. Our middle finger is hovering over the 5th fret. We're going to play 5-3 open, 6th fret with an upstroke, and then open A, 6th fret, 5-3 slide, and then 3 open. So you have, it's kind of like a scale pattern with a bluesy scale. So that note is clashing, but it adds more an advanced quality. And then a little hammer-on lick. We're also going up and ending an octave higher. Instead of ending on this D down here, we're going to end up on a high D. So we're just doing a little lick, 3 open, and then you do a hammer-on 5-7 on the G string, and then an upstroke on the 3rd fret, and then do that same thing up a set of strings. So you have. So now we're working out of this D minor shape. So that shape rather than down here. So that's more of an advanced level position. That lick's obviously more advanced. So those are some things I would think about when making an advanced level lick. Playing more notes outside of the scale, playing those hammer-on kind of triplet 16th note licks obviously is more advanced as well. The goal of this lesson, though, is not to find a perfect lick, but it's to start somewhere. You have to start creating something. The first lick that you create, the first variation is going to be the hardest, and it's going to get easier and easier the more you do it. The more you build up your confidence, you'll feel better about creating your own lick. It's a great way to remember something that maybe you wouldn't remember if someone else wrote it. So it's so important. It's so important to developing your own style as starting to create those variations. So use these ideas, use this lick, try the beginner, the intermediate, advanced version, depending on where you're at, and see if you can create your own little variations. Good luck and keep picking.